Hello, I'm Mr. Dady, and today we're going to talk about simplifying radicals. Good times. All right, simplifying radicals. This is the way that I simplify radicals. Your teacher might teach you something different. This is just the way I do it. I do it in a process because that seems to help students a little bit more. All right, so this is a radical. Know it as a square root sign, division sign, whatever you want to call it. We're going to refer to it as a radical. So our first step in this problem is we're going to create a factor tree. This is not a perfect square root. If it's a perfect square root, just square root it and you're good. So we take the 8 and we make a factor tree. So to make a factor tree, you want to find the smallest factor that goes into that number. Of course, that's always going to be 1. So we move on to the next one, 2. Does 2 go into 8? Yes. Now I always keep mine on the left side of the tree. Some people like to spread it out and make a real tree. I like to just have a awkward tree. So 2 and 4. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. Now we're looking for prime numbers all the way down. Once you find a prime number, you're good. So is 4 a prime number? No. So I'll give you a breakdown to 2 and 2. All right, now you have your factor tree. Second step, now we write out all of our factors that we got. So this is why I keep my tree going to the right the whole time. So step 2 is I'm going to write it out. So I have 2 times 2 times 2. Now I want to find my pairs in this second step. So I have a pair of 2's, and underneath that I'm going to write 2. Now does this 2 over here have a pair? No, so I circle it. And now we simplify it down with our third step. So step 1, make the factor tree. Step 2, bring everything out, find your pairs. So what is circled will go underneath the radical sign. Now whatever is down here, you don't have to multiply it right now. Whatever this is, you just put in front. So the square root of 8 simplified, because it's not a perfect square root, is 2 square root of 2. So our second example, we have the square root of 27. First thing you need to ask yourself, is it a perfect square root? No, it is not. So we need to create our factor tree. So 1, of course, goes into it. Does 2 go into it? No. So we move on to our next prime number, which is 3. 3 does go into 27. It goes into it 9 times. 3 times 9, 27. Is 9 a prime number? No, it's not. And it can be broken down to 3 and 3. So now we have all prime numbers, and that's what we want. So we move on to the second step, which is write it all out. So I have 3 times 3 times 3. And what are my pairs? I have a pair of 3's, and I have a 3 left over. Whatever isn't paired up, just give it a circle. Then our step 4, or step 3, sorry. Our last step is just write it. So inside, whatever this is, and that's what's outside. So 27 simplified is 3 square root of 3. For our third example, we have put a variable with an exponent underneath. This doesn't change anything in the first step. 60 is not a perfect square root, so we make a factor tree. 2 goes into it 30 times. 2 goes into 30 15 times. Now does 2 go into 15? No. Is 15 prime? No. So what's after 2? We check 3. 3 does go into it 5 times. Is 5 prime? Yes. Is 3 prime? Yes. 2 prime? Yes. So we're good. So we move on to our second step, which is just write it out. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Now here is the change that you have to deal with when you have a variable underneath the radical. All you have to do now is write those out. So x squared, I write out 2 x's. now we do what we do. Find your pairs. Pair of 2s, write the 2 underneath. Does 3 have a pair? No. Does 5 have a pair? No. And x's have a pair. Step 3, we just want to write this in the radical. So inside the radical, we have a 3 times a 5. Outside the radical, we have a 2 times an x. So now we have to simplify this even more. What's 2 times x? It's just 2x. What's 3 times 5? 15. And there you go. 60x squared simplified is 2x square root of 15. All right, for our last problem, I'm just gonna throw it all together and make it a little bit more difficult. So 108, is it a prime number? No. Is it perfect square root? No. So we have to simplify it. So 2 is the least one that goes into it, and 54. Of course, that's even, so 2 and 27, then 3 and 9, 3. It's just broken down. So if you really want to check it, you could do 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, 27 times 2 is 54, 54 times 2 is 108, if you want to check yourself, which is always a good idea to check yourself. All right, now we write it all out. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3, 3 3s, 1, 2, 3, 2 2s. And then I write out my variables, times x, times x, times x, times y. And now we find our pairs. I have a pair of 2s, pairs of 3s, no more. That 3 is all alone. Pair of x's, circle the x, circle the y. Now we simplify. So 2 and 3 on the outside, and the x on the outside. On the inside, we just put everything that's left, right? So everything that's circled, 3, x, and y. Then we just simplify it even more. 2 times 3 times x is 6x, square root of 3xy. And that is your answer. I hope you understood all of this. If you didn't, go back and play the video. Maybe it'll help you out a little bit. Otherwise than that, good luck.